So you don't have work experience or internship as a software engineer yet, but you've spent a lot of time learning how to code and you've completed a handful of courses and tutorials. This makes you feel ready to work full-time as a software engineer. But as you're filling out job applications, perhaps you've run into this problem. How do I best demonstrate my programming ability to companies? Well, listen up. In today's video, let's dig through a key concept called a software portfolio. What it is, why it's so effective, how you should create one for yourself, and some best practices that I would recommend to you. And towards the end of the video, I'll go over how you can best highlight your portfolio in a resume in order to intrigue companies who are interested in hiring you. One well-rounded software portfolio will take you so much further in becoming a software engineer rather than a stack of online certifications. It's not even close, and you'll see why. As always, I promise to go through each step with a minimum of terminology so that even if you have never written a software portfolio for yourself, you'll be able to follow as I explain. So first of all, let's understand what a software portfolio is. A software portfolio, by definition, is a collection of software projects created by you in order to showcase your coding knowledge. Think of them as a restaurant menu in which chefs can communicate to their customers what they have to offer by listing their proudest creations. If you think about your own experience, some restaurants offer a much more enticing menu than others. Perhaps they included a beautiful photo, or the food sounded so creative beyond imagination that you had to try it. In a similar fashion, your software portfolio is a sample of your proudest software creations, and it can convince companies that you are the right person to work with. It shows rather than tells, because you're literally presenting them with lines of code that you've actually written. And here's the reason why they are so effective. With a portfolio, you can physically point to an existing asset. On the other hand, a certification is simply just a piece of paper signed off by a robot saying that you've done something. You wouldn't want chefs to come to your table and show you certifications instead of giving you a menu, right? The menu guides you as a diner to trust in the chef in their selection. Similarly, portfolios automatically do the job of proving that you're worthy of the challenge presented ahead of you in the job. Companies can see in front of their eyes how you design and engineer software projects, and they can concretely measure your competency as a programmer and how you build things from scratch. Building a portfolio is an excellent opportunity to show initiative. That you're a go-getter, you can think on your feet, you can create your own work, and execute on ideas. So how should you go about building a portfolio, and what are some best practices to keep in mind when building one? Let's start with some best practices to understand what makes a good portfolio. First, I recommend creating 3 software projects for your portfolio. Feel free to work on as many projects as you'd like. But just like how restaurant menus with a million items often lead to confused customers and worse quality of food on average, your portfolio should not suffer from confusion and mediocrity. Restaurants stand out because they have 1 or 2 items on their menu that only they can create. Second, just like restaurants, make sure that your 3 projects stand out because you are one of the few people who can create it. For example, if you're a basketball fanatic and you religiously follow the NBA, then you should create a project that highlights your enthusiasm. Or say you are one of the top 1% fans of a music artist. Work on a project that tells a story about that artist. Your project doesn't have to be a billion-dollar idea, but it should really be something that you're passionate about. Third, avoid simplicity, embrace complexity. As a follow-up to the previous point, you should think carefully about building something that is uniquely you. Another way of doing this is adding technical complexity to your project. Say you're building a website that analyzes how one basketball team performs against other teams in the same league. A simple project would just display the score of that one team over time. On the other hand, a complex project would go above and beyond. It could display all the player stats on that one team compared to their previous teams, or where it is on that court that players on that team score most of their 3-pointers. So to summarize, the projects in your portfolios should pass the following criteria. Number 1, include 3 projects to showcase your diversity of skill, but not more than 3. Then create something only you can build by exploring your deepest interests and adding technical complexity. And here's one more point that I would add. If possible, create something that your friends in your communities would use. For example, if you have a group of friends that also follow basketball as enthusiastically as you, then they can so easily use the tool that you built to analyze the basketball players on different teams. Getting your project in front of real-life people is that extra step that you can take in order to really impress the companies, because it indicates a very real impact that you delivered to people around you or on the internet. Now that we understand what makes a good portfolio versus a bad one, I can talk about my personal recommendations for the 3 projects to include in your portfolio. Okay, assuming that you're committing to building out 3 projects to include in your portfolio, the first project I would recommend to you is to build a data analysis website. A data analysis website is a platform on which you gather a lot of information about something that you can use to answer very hard questions. Then you display that answer in a digestible format using visualizations so that other people can easily understand your insights. So to get started, pick one interest or hobby of yours. Then find some data around that hobby or interest on the internet. You can Google for that data, and chances are you will find a data set that's publicly available. For example, say I'm building a data analysis website on basketball. One question I could answer is, where on the court are players most likely to score 3-pointers? Then you can write code to upload that data set, automate any analysis that you'd like to do, and output the answer to your question. Finally, you can display your insight using graphs, charts, or visuals. This type of project is incredibly valuable because it teaches you how to work with a large amount of data, how do you draw insights from it, and other challenges that arise from this. You will also improve your ability to communicate your valuable insights. The second project in your portfolio can be a recommendation engine. This is building stuff like Spotify's playlist based on a song, or Amazon's recommended list of products. This time, however, instead of solely relying on information and data sets, you want to curate data in real time. After all, the best recommendations are made when you most need them in real time. This usually means that you will have to work with different platforms' APIs. API is short for Application Programming Interface. It's a set of tools that developers have built so that your software can plug and play in order to gain access to some information on their platforms. For example, if my software needs to know how many subscribers I have on YouTube, I can use YouTube's APIs in order to get that information in real time. After you're able to collect information in real time, you can use that to provide recommendations. There are a lot of different ways to do this, one of them being AI and machine learning models to create predictive recommendations. However, you don't have to make it that complicated. In fact, being able to provide some real-time recommendation will teach you a lot about how to use these APIs and how to surface them to your potential users. Lastly, for the third project, I encourage everyone to build their own personal website. As a software developer, having your own website is like having your own business card. It's an incredibly effective way to express yourself with endless possibilities. It's also a great place to host the links to your projects in the portfolio so that whoever wants to check out your portfolio, they can go ahead to your website and click on those links. It's a really easy way for someone to publicly access your projects. To those who made it to the end, here's how I would showcase my portfolio on my resume. If you want a good resume template to start with, or you want to make your resume better, check out this video I created on software engineering resumes. I go over best practices and I provide a link to the resume that I use to land my jobs. Okay, so below your background and education section, create a section titled Projects. Then have a dedicated and boldened line item for each one of your projects. Using bullet points under each of those items, answer the following questions. What does your project do? What technologies were used to create your project? What was the technically most challenging part of your project? How many people, if any, used your software project? By answering these 4 questions, you're clearly outlining your programming proficiency, the complexity of your project, and your impact to people in real life. You've now learned how to create your own software portfolio from scratch. With your newfound skills and passion, you can showcase your amazing work to the world and make a real impact. Remember, creating a portfolio isn't just about showcasing your skills. It's about telling your story, sharing your unique journey, and inspiring others to pursue their dreams. So don't give up on your dreams. Keep learning, keep pushing, keep creating. And most importantly, never forget why you started in the first place. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see what amazing things you'll create next. See you in the next video.